Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I hope you remember that yesterday we had read the first page of lesson number 6 entitled The Man Who Was a Hospital, and I would like you to recall how Jerome K. Jerome has given the description of how he came across a liver pill circular. By reading that, he came to know that he is suffering from the liver disease, and in order to find cure for that disease, for that ailment, he went to the British Museum and he got hold of a book which was consisted of all of the diseases enlisted in alphabetical order, and he one by one he read all of the diseases, the symptoms, the premonitory symptoms given in that book about every disease from A to Z. He read, and after reading he concluded that he was suffering from all of the diseases in the world, except for housemaid's knee, and he was worried initially about housemaid's knee, that why he hasn't got that disease, but later he made himself contented of not having that disease, as he was having all of the other diseases in the world. Then he started feeling proud of being the bearer of all of the diseases in the world, and he started thinking that he would be an opportunity for the students of medical field by giving them a chance or opportunity of experience and practice. And he also thought that he would also be an opportunity for any hospital, that the students won't feel the need to make a round of the whole hospital in order to practice and examine diseases and patients, as he was himself a hospital. The phrase he used was, "I was a hospital in myself." So this was all in the first page, and now we are moving to the second page of this essay, the second page, that is page number 21 in your book. Let's begin with the text. Then I wondered how long I had to live. So after realizing that he was having all of the diseases in the world, all of the diseases which can be present in any hospital there, so he started wondering that if he is having all of the diseases, and some are in their initial stages, some are in their serious stages, and some are at a stage that which make him feel difficult to survive. So he started wondering that how long will be his life then. I tried to examine myself. He tried to examine himself at that time. I felt my pulse. He tried to feel his pulse. I could not at first find any pulse at all. Initially he wasn't able to find any pulse at all. Then all of a sudden it seemed to start off, but suddenly he got he found the pulse, and he felt that it is running, it is starting off. I pulled out my watch and timed it. He timed the pulse. I made it 147 to the minute, and what he counted, it was 147. Then next he tried to feel my heart. He tried to feel his heart. I could not feel my heart. Initially he couldn't feel his heart. It had stopped beating. So he concluded that my heart has stopped beating. I have since been induced to come to the opinion that it must have been there all the time, but he told himself that though he was always telling himself that his heart, his opinion was that he always thought that his heart is there and it is beating, but actually it wasn't beating and must have been beating, but I cannot account for it. But now he cannot account for why he had thought that his heart was there and it was beating, as now he cannot find it anywhere in his body. I patted myself all over my front. So as he had only a guess that the heart would be in the front, so he patted himself. He tapped the front of his body from what I call my waist up to my head, and it's funny that he tried to find his heart from the waist up to the head, and I went a bit round each side, and he even tried to search it on the sides of his body and a little way up the back, and even at the back he tried to find the heart, but I could not feel or hear anything. I tried to look at my tongue, so he couldn't find his heart, at least, and no ways he was able to find his heart. But I could not feel or hear anything. I tried to look at my tongue. So as he didn't find his heart, he tried to feel his tongue. I stuck it out as far as ever it would go. So it's quite funny to if one is trying to feel or if one is trying to look at his own tongue. So he did it. He stuck his tongue out as long as he could, and I shut one eye and tried to examine it with the other. As it was difficult to look at the tongue, he tried to shut one eye and try to see the tongue through the other eye. I could not see the tip. Still he wasn't able to see the tip of his tongue, and the only thing that I could gain from that was to feel more certain that before that I had scarlet fever. And as he wasn't able to find the tip, he wasn't able to see or examine his tongue, so he concluded that I must be having scarlet fever. That's why my tongue is not visible. So this is all really funny, because he was trying to examine himself, and he wasn't sure about the location of the heart in the body, and he wasn't sure about the how tongue can be examined. Either one can examine his tongue himself or not. So all these things are quite funny about him. I had walked into that reading room a happy, healthy man. When he had entered that British Museum, the room of that British Museum, he was at that time he was happy and healthy man. As he didn't know that he was having so many diseases, he thought. I crawled out a decrepit wreck, and when he came out, he was lazily coming out of the room, stepping out of the room, as if he was a devastated person, as if he was a destroyed, worn out person, tired, worn out and destroyed person. I went to my medical man. He went to his doctor. He is an old chum of mine. That doctor was his old friend and feels my pulse. And he, in routine, whenever he went to him, he felt his pulse and he looked at his tongue and he talked about the weather, all for nothing, and without any reason he talked about the weather. And then I fancy I am ill. Whenever he thought that he was ill, he went to that doctor. It was his routine to visit that doctor in order to have examination whenever he felt that he was sick. But whenever he went there, he felt his pulse, the doctor felt his pulse, and he looked at his tongue and he talked about the weather in order to change his mood, in order to normalize his mood. So I thought I would do him a good turn by going to him now. He thought that as always before I have ever gone to him, I haven't been diagnosed of having any disease. So now, as I am having all of the diseases, I will give him a good chance now. What a doctor wants, I said. He thought to himself that what a doctor wants is practice. That is practice, obviously. He shall have me. So if he will be having him beside him, he will get more practice out of me than out of 1700 of your ordinary commonplace patients. And he says that I am better than 1700 ordinary commonplace patients with only 1 or 2 diseases each. But as I am having all of the diseases, so I will give him a good opportunity, good chance to practice all of the diseases in one man. So I went straight up and saw him, and he said, so he went straight to him, and he saw him, he visited him, and he said, well, what's the matter with you? He asked, the doctor asked, what's the matter actually with you? He said, I will not take up your time, dear boy, with telling you what is the matter with me. Life is brief and you might pass away before I had finished. So he says that as I am having so many diseases, and if I start telling about all of the diseases to you what I have got, so it will take long time, and life is brief, and it might be possible that before he had finished telling him all of the diseases which he was having, perhaps the doctor would pass away, because life is short. And but I will tell you what is not the matter with me. So he chose better, he preferred to tell him what he is not having. And I have not got housemaid's need. He told that he hasn't got housemaid's need. Why I have not got housemaid's need, I cannot tell you. So he said that I just know that I haven't got the disease that is housemaid's knee, but I cannot tell you the reason why I haven't got that disease. But the fact remains that I have not got it. Everything else, however, I have got. And he told the doctor that every other disease he had got, he was suffering from. And I told him how I came to discover it all, and then he explained all the previous descriptions, all of what happened with him, how he read the circular, how he read the book, and everything. Then he opened me and looked me down. So the doctor started examining him and clutched hold of his wrist, and then he hit me over the chest when I wasn't expecting it. A cowardly thing to do, I call it. So he also hit him in the chest, and immediately afterwards butted me with the side of his head, and he even butted him. He struck him with the side of his head. After that, he sat down and wrote out a prescription. The doctor sat down finally and wrote out prescription. He wrote something on the paper and folded it up and gave it to me, and he gave the folded paper to him and put it in the pocket and went out. The writer put the prescription in his pocket and went out. I did not open it. I took it to the nearest chemist and handed it in. He took that prescription to a pharmacy, to a chemist, and gave it to him. The man read it. The man at that pharmacy read that prescription and then handed it back, and he gave it back to the writer. He said he didn't keep it, and he told that I cannot keep it, I cannot deal this prescription. I said, you are a chemist. So he was curious that why he couldn't deal that prescription. So the writer asked if he was a chemist. He said, I am a chemist. He replied that he was a chemist. If I were a cooperative stores and family hotel combined, I might be able to oblige you. Being only a chemist hampers me. He told that as I am only a chemist, so I cannot do it. I have my limitations. I cannot deal this prescription. I cannot deal the things written in therein. So what was written? The prescription read. I read the prescription. It ran: 1 pound beef steak every 6 hours, 10-mile walk every morning, bed at 11 sharp every night, and don't stuff your head with things you don't understand. So this is quite important for him, that the doctor had just asked him for a good diet and a walk and good sleep, and the more important that he asked him, he advised him not to stuff his head, not to bother the things which he didn't understand, not to think about the things, not to try to guess the things which he wasn't having knowledge about. So this was the advice given to him in that prescription. I followed the direction, so he followed the direction, and with the happy result. And finally the result was happy. Speaking for myself, that my life was preserved and is still going on, and he tells us that his life was preserved. He wasn't having any diseases. It was just his insecurity, a sense of insecurity. It was just his wrong thinking that he was having those diseases, because he tried to engage in something about which he wasn't having any knowledge. So because of that, he was overwhelmed with the horror and such kind of things of having horror of having short life and everything. So this is all about this essay. You are supposed to learn synonyms of the difficult words, and you are also supposed to give answers to the given questions, short answers to the given questions. Okay, we will see inshallah in the next lecture. Allah Hafiz.